Hey there, and welcome back to the HQ. Today, we are going to be reacting to which Pokemon is the worst pet? Kanto. Okay, so I know a lot about Pokemon, I know a lot of Pokemon, and there's plenty of Pokemon that I would keep as a pet, but I know nothing about keeping Pokemon as pets, and I don't have the direct ins and outs of what would make the best pet. So, let's jump in and see which of the original 151 Pokemon would make for the best pet, and which would make for the worst pet. And let's see where we go from there when picking out the perfect Pokepet. And if you didn't know, I have a Patreon now where I upload my reactions, uncensored and uncut, to various shows, anime, and more. So for just $3 a month, you can support me and gain access to that footage there. So why don't you help a ratty out? Okay, right off the bat, any psychic type I think would make for a bad pet because they're smarter as you. That's not a pet. That is a live-in roommate. Already, it's giving us a bunch of legendary Pokemon that would make terrible pets.
Pokemon! You know Pokemon? I know Pokemon, you know Pokemon, your congressman probably knows Pokemon. Throw
Pokemon go to the polls, am I right? Stonejourner.
Rocco. It's kind of hard to even write an intro for Pokemon.
The fact that I could spot a Pokemon, recognize it, and immediately pull its name out of my ass, that tells you a lot about me. The fact that I was like, oh yeah, that's Stonejourner. Yeah, I'm too Poke-pilled.
Because, what, am I supposed to assume you don't know what Pokemon is?
Like, if you don't know what Pokemon is, I'm going to assume you're either newborn or senile.
Everyone who grew up with Pokemon has kept up with it whether you still play the games or not. Pokemon has breached the cultural mainstream to the point that every Pokemon, regardless...
Remember when they made a fucking console game based off Pokemon Go? It still had one of the better shiny hunting, it still had some of the easiest shiny hunting because of how easy it was to get them to spawn.
Of how barbarkle they are, has a fan. Look at it like this.
Oh, I have a very fat ass, and then it's very easy to pull Pokemon names out of.
The mascot of the franchise. It just depends on who's looking at it.
Also,
and a common question for Pokemon fans when they were younger was, which Pokemon would you want in real life? Everybody had answers for what Pokemon they'd want in real life. From
Gardevoir, I am not answering any questions.
The basic picks like Bulbasaur, Charmander, and Squirtle, to the more fantastical picks like Electrode and Nidoking, to the kid who made up new rules in the middle of a game of tag so he wouldn't lose and he'd pick Mewtwo, to the people who pick Gardevoir, who should be cast off from modern society to live underground.
Why you gotta call me out like that? Why you gotta call me out like that? Besides, rats are burrowing animals. And I do live in a cave. So, you know, I mean, technically, you're not wrong.
It's this simple playground question, though, that raises the question, which Pokemon would be the best pet in real life? Now, unlike with boxing and war crimes, there isn't really a defined set of rules on what makes a good pet. Oh, your dog got a bad grade.
We did react to his boxing video for Punch-Out and his TF2 War Crimes video, so I do get that joke. I understood that reference. Point at screen.
It's a real D-tier dog. Look at its paws. It sucks.
Real talk though, pugs.
Grade them on the same
pugs are
scale
cute,
that they do
but
at the
Jesus.
Westminster Dog Show. Okay, yeah, few problems. One, those dogs are bred to run across a stick. La, and I mean this next part, dee-da. Second, that system would work for exactly Growlithe because we'd get stumped at trying to figure out how Alakazam works into that system.
Okay,
so,
yeah, you got a good point.
You got a point. More personal work. I'm coming at this from as impartial a viewpoint as possible, as to not let my bias towards Heracross overtake reason.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Rattatas are cute, but I also like Gardevoir. Gardevoir is my favorite Pokemon.
As such, there may be some Pokemon that you like getting bad grades, and some Jinx that you don't like
getting
good
is also
grades.
Cute.
At the end of the day, though, it's the quality of the trainer and not the Pokemon that draws out its real potential.
Ditto would make a pretty good pet, I imagine. Plus, I mean, as we know from Pokopia, they're very smart. Also, yeah, Primate definitely hates you.
So I needed 5 categories that covered enough ground as to not leave any blind spots in judging them. The 5 I came up with I think apply pretty well to grading a pet and more specifically a Pokemon. First
Okay,
is housing.
let's see.
When picking a pet, you have to factor
Big
in a
old
lot
chunky
of things,
rat.
one of which being where are you gonna put it? Some dog breeds excel in smaller environments. Some need wide open ranges in order to run around and burn off energy. And if you don't take into account what environment your pet needs before you pull the trigger, you're gonna have a nightmare on your hands.
Yeah, it's like, don't have an enclosed yard if you're gonna have an Arcanine. That's just a bad deal.
My tireless and clinical research has deduced that keeping a fish in a tank with water is going to vastly improve its longevity.
Oh
So
yeah,
Pokemon
clearly.
that score a 5 in this regard will usually be extremely easy to house without any special conditions. Eevee, small dog, fun face, doesn't take up a lot of space. Onyx, rock snake, 28 feet long, can't be held anywhere except large cave systems, and those don't exactly come standard in a lot of apartments.
Yeah, you're gonna probably want to move out to, like, I don't know, you're probably gonna move to the Grand Canyon for that.
Hypoallergenic though, you gotta give it that. And if you think you can
True.
just keep it in the Pokeball
I mean, it's just
all
a
the
pet
time,
rock.
alright, Buster Brown, what's the point of a cat if you never get to see it? You're adopting a pet, not losing a child in divorce court. After that is the aspect that makes Pokemon so special compared to just getting a hamster like a normal human.
Roserade's also good. Roserade is one of my main 3 Pokemon I use in Pokemon Go. It's just really, really good, really versatile, really high stat. It's really good Pokemon.
Human being. Typing. Simple truth is that there are certain types of Pokemon that are by their nature safer to be around than others. Grass
True.
types, normal types, fairy types, generally friendly and harmless.
Yeah, a fairy type is far less likely to burn your house down as a fire type.
Poison types, ghost types, and fire types, however, are a recipe for disaster. I had to take each type and assign them
so
a point
each one
value
has-
based on how safe they are to be
Okay.
around. You're seeing on screen right now what each type managed to get. You
All
may
right.
also be asking about dual-typed Pokemon. There are tons that mix and match types,
Add
ranging
them together
from
and
grass
split the
fairies being
difference?
absolutely lovely to poison ghosts being Turbo Satan. Well, for those instances, I simply added their points together and got an average. So, for
Okay.
instance, ice-water types get a 7 out of 10, and on a 5-point scale, that's a 3.5.
Okay,
After that
all right.
is behavior. This
Okay,
is where
so
a
it's a
lot of
very
Pokedex
straightforward
reading was
system.
necessary to see how exactly each Pokemon will act. When I say a lot of Pokedex reading, I mainly mean Gen 7, as most of the other generations will say, this friendly Pokemon enjoys berries and head pats. Look out for its shocking sparks. Whereas Stone
True.
Cold Alola says, one time a young man petted this thing and his heart stopped and he died. Now there is evidence
Alola really is that kind of gen. There are so many messed up, like, Pokedex entries in the Alola region. Holy shit.
of basically every Pokemon going against these dex entries and being perfectly behaved. The amount of people who have managed to domesticate Gengar is proof of that. As
Oh, yeah,
such,
true.
It's safe to say that any Pokemon, no matter how surly, can be taught to stop eating babies for fun.
Oh, yeah.
This category is more about trying to figure out how easy a process that's going to be. Pokemon that rank highly in this category are going to be super easy to train and require little to no extra care. Pokemon that rank lowly are the type of pet that you need to smash in the head with a steel chair to get them to pee on the newspaper. After that is safety.
I mean, yeah, that I could just potty train them.
You don't bring home a dog that you know is going to be violent, and you don't bring home a muck if its whole body is made of death. This
That's
is sort
true.
of a mix between type and behavior, but differs
Crack it
as
open a
Pokemon
can.
that's well behaved in their dex entry can still be dangerous by virtue of, oh, I don't know, having exposed flames on their body. Pokemon
Oh,
who rank
yeah.
highly here present little to no danger to even the dumbest member of your family, and Pokemon that rank lowly are going to kill somebody. It's not a matter of if, just when. It might not have even meant it, but it still
Oh,
happened.
whoopsie doodle.
Finally is ease of care. How much is it going to cost to keep this thing happy and healthy?
Oh,
How
yeah,
easy is it to
especially in
access
this
food for
economy.
This thing, and how many hoops do I have to jump through for it? Pokemon that do well in this category will take little to no effort to take care
I need to get a
of, or in some
soundboard so I can
cases
put my
even be
cracking
self-sufficient.
open a can
and
on
the
there.
Pokemon that rank lowly are going to require you to feed it newborn baby souls, and trust
Oh.
me, they like their food fresh.
Oh,
Which means
no.
They're going to be graded on a scale of 0 to 25. On screen now are some of the different ranges of grades it can get. Great pets will fit in with anybody. Good pets may require some research. Okay, pets are going to need specialized
God, what
care.
would that one
Bad
be?
Pets are only
Oh.
for the experienced, and terrible pets will kill you 100 times out of 100.
Jesus.
Also, if your reading comprehension isn't up to snuff and there are too many words in the title, this is going to be exclusively Kanto to start out with, because if you haven't noticed, they won't stop making these things.
Very true. Whenever I did a Pokemon Smasher pass with my lovely friends Scarlet and Key, we recorded all in one go, but I split each one into its own video, so they're only about 10 to 20 minutes long and they're bite-sized. But yeah, there's so many Pokemon. I'm gonna have to do a new Smasher pass just for the new Mega Evolutions.
Also, we're mainly going to be grading the final forms of these Pokemon since you're going to be having a dog a lot longer than you have a puppy. There
Also
are gonna be
true.
some exceptions, however, for Pokemon with evolved forms that nobody will ever take over their pre-evolutions.
Okay,
Besides,
yeah,
it's
that's
not
true.
like there are going to be a lot of cases where baby Pokemon are majorly different from their adult forms. Though I just can't condone Gengar, it's too much. Oh, yeah, Ghastly. No kid growing up ever said, "Oh man, I can't wait till I'm older so I can own a Raichu." How many of you want to own a Wigglytuff?
Oh, the Raichu dicks.
Honestly, who wants to own a Wigglytuff? Don't
Wigglytuff is a very good tanky Pokemon in Gen 1, I'm just saying. Like, Wigglytuff, every time I play through Gen 1, Wigglytuff always finds a place on my team. Always finds a place on my team.
you want to see your dog get a top 8? And if you get upset at one of your favorite Pokemon being too low on the list for your liking, I'm not talking about your muck, I'm talking about somebody else's. Your muck, I'm sure, is lovely, but this one eats babies. Now all that's left to do is
yeah, I'm sure
the
that's
easy
Cope.
part. Just gotta plug the Kanto Pokemon into my system and see who the top dog is.
Okay.
Should be simple, right? How many distinctive evolutionary lines are there in Gen 1 anyway? So that's a bit of a higher ask than 13 and 9 that I'm used to, so I'll cut you a deal. We'll give most of the Pokemon a decent run through and tell you whether you'd want them to know where you sleep or not, grouped together by their overall grade.
Okay.
And at the end, we'll cover the top 5 best and top 5 worst pets.
All right.
Please? With a grand total of 3, we have just 2 Pokemon lucky enough to escape the bottom 5. Electro's discussion begins and ends at the fact that it's one bad shake away from exploding.
Okay, yeah, that's valid.
Running away to power plants to drain them of all their electricity, which causes
That's
them to
true.
float.
Those power
But
plants
gotta
are full
stop
of those
floating
things.
eventually, which means they're going to fall onto your house.
Oh.
And explode.
Oh,
You can
that's
either
not
adopt
good.
An electrode or stick a fork in an electrical plug. They're equally beneficial for your health. Obviously, having vile in the name can be a turnoff, but come on, a rose by any other name would smell just as sweet.
That's not a rose.
Except this rose is a Rafflesia, a kind of flower that smells like if
A
death didn't
Rafflesia.
shower.
Oh
Vileplume's
my god.
only good stat is its typing, with the normally amazing grass being cut in half by Poison's Big Fat Zero.
Yeah,
Speaking
that
of
is
poison,
awful.
This Pokemon is lousy with it. I speak no lie when I say that Vileplume disperses heavy clouds of poison with every step it takes.
Yeah, like
You won't have a hard
I have had the fortune of never having been forced to smell a Rafflesia, but like, there's a reason why it's called the Death Flower, because it literally smells like a decomposing corpse. Like, that's what people say. I've had the fortune of never having been forced to smell one before.
time caring for it since you just need water and sun, but good luck getting to the watering can before you drop dead.
Also
At a
true.
whopping 4 points is an appropriate 4 Pokemon, each of whom fail in some spectacular new way from each other.
Okay.
Not only is he a bad evolution, but Flareon is also a terrible pet. All
Yeah,
of its dex
that's
entries
true.
just talk about its flame sack and how at any given time it's between 1,600 and 3,000 degrees. Fire types are always at a disadvantage thanks to the fact that the dex won't shut up about how hot they can get.
Yeah,
You can
they're always
imagine
talking about
housing
how
and grooming a
fiery
hotter
they
than
are.
Magma will be a real pain. After him is Mewtwo. There's already the trouble
Okay,
of having
yeah.
a pet that is smarter than you, and then there's its personality.
Oh, yeah.
Mewtwo just
Mewtwo-
flat out hates humans and wants to do everything it can to either avoid them or destroy them.
Oh, yeah. It's kind of hard. Like, you're basically asking for a roommate who's also, like, a superpowered terrorist. It's like, would you rather have Mewtwo moving with you or Homelander? Pick your poison.
It's an incredibly strong Pokemon, meaning that the only thing keeping it from lobotomizing you is the thin layer of respect it may have that grows thinner every time you ask if it wants to go to the park. It holds phenomenal psychic powers. It will go on a walk when it wants to.
Exactly.
The psychic typing is nice and all, but the first time you try to give it a treat, it will trap you in a nightmare dimension, and that's not really what I'm looking for in a cat. You know
Oh, yeah,
what
I get
animal would
enough
suck if
bad
it was
sleep as it
100
is.
times bigger and proportionately more of a jerk? Bees, yeah. Now imagine if instead of fat little limbs, it had weapons that can and will impale you when it gets the
Oh,
chance.
Lord.
Beedrill is a terrible pet. One
I'd rather move in with Queen Bee from the Honey Home Galaxy.
of Beedrill's defining characteristics is how territorial it is. Pokedex entries talk all about how you should never approach its nest for fear of
Yeah,
being
stay
stored
away.
on one of its drill hands.
I've
Not
seen
to
the
mention that
anime.
bees don't exactly live in normal homes. They live in hives, so you're sectioning off at least half of your house to be a bee drill hive. Also, I don't know if you knew this, but bees aren't exactly solitary creatures. They kind of like to bunch up, so you're not adopting a bee drill,
God,
you're
yeah, that's
adopting a bee
true.
drill swarm.
You were getting a
Terrible.
hive.
Pretty good mega. The final 4-pointer
Pretty good meta.
is Gyarados.
It's pretty
And
cool.
while he
It's pretty
starts
dope
life
design.
as a docile and downright pleasant Magikarp, puberty hits him like a speeding car in a safety advert and turns it into Gyarados. While the water and flying typing conjures imagery of serene flying fish, the result is anything but. Gyarados is flat out violent and predisposed to violent fits of rage.
Yeah.
This is a Pokemon so massive and
It
dangerous
had to
that
live through being a
single one left
Magikarp.
alone in a lake is big enough news for the best trainer in the world to come out and try and stop it. Now you gotta try and fit it in your bathtub. This
Not
thing
a
needs
good
so
idea.
much space to properly
You
veg
need
out.
a
On top of
lake
that, you need
for that.
somewhere that it can let off steam. Not even starting with a Magikarp and then going to Gyarados is gonna help because thanks to Ruby and Sapphire, we know that Magikarps and Gyaradoses have completely different brain makeups. And that when Gyarados rampages, it can go on for months.
Oh my god.
Classification, people, it's called the atrocious Pokemon.
That
Next
it
up are
is.
the Pokemon
It is
that
literally
managed
the
to score
atrocious
5 whole
Pokemon.
points. That's right,
Oh
guys,
boy,
we're only
5
4/5
whole
of the way to getting
points.
to a halfway decent dog. First up is Arbok. Now, I know there are serial killers in the real world that keep snakes as pets, but not 11-foot long ones.
Well, my granddad had a snake for a pet. Her name was Jake. She was named after Jake the Snake Roberts, and they didn't know that she was a girl until much later in life. She was a lovely constrictor. She was very easy, very docile, very nice to hold. Like she just sit on you and just kind of like sit there and like very relaxed, very cozy girl. That's a shame she's gone, but you know, she was old. She was like there when I was a little baby. So,
This thing is massive, and that means almost no comfortable way to keep
Also,
it anywhere.
yeah,
So
giant
I'll just
snake.
Let it roam around my house. Yeah, great idea. Let the 11-foot-long poisonous snake have carte blanche on access to your house.
Yeah, not a good idea.
Arbok is far from a well-behaved Pokemon. It's so vengeful that once it starts tracking prey, nothing can stop it. Oh, good, a vindictive pet. Sorry, I
That's
forgot
not
to feed you
good.
before I went to work, Arbok. It just sort of slipped.
Oh.
Arbok! That's not an exaggeration either, as Arbok is strong enough to crush oil drums, and if it starts to boil around you, will never stop until you're dead.
Jesus.
You're probably not built like an oil drum, so there's a good chance that
I am all squishy.
Arbok manages to fail the pet test without even mentioning the fact that it's poison type. Onyx is next.
Yeah, that'll do it.
While it's a snake like Arbok, poison isn't really something you have to worry about. Now, dying from a rock slide in your living room, absolutely. Moltres falls into the category of Pokemon where just standing too close to it is hazardous to your health.
Yeah,
its body
any
is covered
Pokemon
in open flames that
pretty much any Pokemon with like open fire is already just gonna fail the sniff test there. So, oof.
while making it a real challenge to pet, really excel at burning houses down. This thing usually roosts deep in Victory Road because there was nowhere else to put it on the Kanto map, which
You know, until Fire Red and Leaf Green came out, and they just put it in the Sevi Islands instead.
which means it's at least used to sitting in one place for long periods of time. If you have a big basement without anything flammable like insulation or wood, you might just get away with it.
It's
but
gonna
the
be a
big
little
rubber
hard-pressed
chicken
to find
should
something
be
like
high
that.
on your list of potential pets. Golbat comes next, and say what you will about the Pokemon that came before, they don't drink blood. For those of you hoping that Golbat may
That's
have just been
true.
like a flying
Moltres
fox
does
where
not
all it
drink
eats is
blood.
fruit, nope, those big jaws are meant for clamping around necks. Golbat drinks up to 10 ounces of blood at a time before becoming so fat it can't even fly.
10
ounces of blood
ounces?
is just short of a red Solo Cup's worth of blood. And if you aren't ready to bleed into a goblet for Golbat, then maybe you aren't mature enough for a pet in the first place.
Yeah,
Finally
I
is
could not do that.
Aerodactyl, and this comes down to the simple fact that God put these things out of commission for a reason, and it wasn't so
Yeah,
some kid who
that's,
found a funny-looking rock could spit
that's-
shine it and unleash
it-
it on the modern
it does have a
day.
point there.
Aerodactyl is from a time where Pokemon weren't fat little dough balls that just wanted hugs and ketchup. They just killed each other because they were wild animals.
You know, it makes me wonder how much time passed from the ancient Pokemon who were like fossils, and then like the paradox Pokemon of like the past, you know, like Screamtail, and like Roaring Moon and like stuff like that. Made me wonder how much time passed from those.
It took a long time for Pokemon to become the companions that we know today, and if the Pokemon of
It's
Hisui were
also
ready
funny
to put
how
children in the ground,
the
I
Paradox
really doubt
Pokemon
that
don't even have
Aerodactyl
real
would have the courtesy
names
to leave
compared to
remains.
even
We
like
have detailed accounts
fossil
of how it
Pokemon.
hunted, and even know that when it was revived, it killed about a half a dozen scientists in the process. It's
Oh
like
my
adopting
God.
a dog that shoots half the adoption center on the way out. It also makes a high-pitched
That
shout,
is a
and I
very
can get the
visual.
homeowners
That is
association on
a
my case.
visual.
That just sounds kind of annoying.
Real talk. Don't move into any places that has an HOA. You were signing up for bad times.
On to 6, and we finally managed to escape what I would call a horrible pet. We are finally in
Oh.
the realm of bad pets.
Oh.
Leading the way is Tentacruel. So vile was a pretty bad word with Vileplume, but cruel is another thing entirely.
I know some freaks who would have a Tentacruel. I'm just saying. I know some freaks.
I named my dog Hatred. You can pet him, he's already served time. Tentacruel's biggest knock is honestly not the cruel part of his name. Even the Alolan Dex doesn't paint him as an especially mean Pokemon. It's the Tenta. 80 tentacles, I mean that 80 tentacles that are able to trap the opponent and poison them with sharp, stinging pains.
I count 8. What do you mean 80 tentacles? Are they just like hiding up there in like the head bit? What the fuck?
So it's a water type that you can't swim with since everything below the surface is guaranteed to kill you. If you can stay out of the water, maybe, but it's got a killer appetite as well since tentacruels tend to demolish the local fish population.
Oh.
And representing one of Kanto's 80,000
And
poison
there's the
types
poison
is
type.
Wheezing.
Yeah, why are there so many
Seeing
poison
Wheezing
types in
anywhere other
Kanto?
than dead last is probably a shock. Shouldn't
So
he be down
many.
there with muck and folk like him? You know, Chernobyl with a personality? Well,
Oh.
thankfully, Wheezing keeps all the horrible disease to himself, since despite just being 3 tumors trying their best, Wheezing doesn't actually give off any poisonous gas outside of battle. It mixes poisonous gas inside of itself, but when it's off the clock, no need. Then what are these, you ask? Simple. Stink lines.
Yeah, wheezing and coughing are terrible smelling. It's a fun fact too that Alolan wheezing, not Alolan, Galarian wheezing, it actually absorbs in toxins and lets out pleasant smells. I'm pretty sure that a Galarian wheezing, I think it's like a poison fairy type. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure it has a fairy typing, and its whole thing is like it brings in pollution and it expels like pleasant smells instead.
Wheezing feasts on bad odors in your house like garbage and toxic waste. We all experiment from time to time. What does it do with all that stinky scent?
It
Make
poots
it
it out.
worse. Sure,
It
you have a
poots.
living garbage disposal, but tons of Dex entries try to impart just how bad this thing smells. Oh, what's that?
Oh.
Well, that's Primeape. Why isn't he moving? Oh, because he got so angry when I forgot to feed him, he f***ing died.
And now you have an Annihilate. Congratulations. You now have an angry monkey who is also a ghost.
The final Pokemon to get a 6 is Zapdos. This Pokemon usually likes to roost in abandoned
You don't like
plants, but
you don't like touching a big bird that'll burn you to death? How about a big bird that'll shock you to death?
mostly makes its home in storm clouds. At best, you have a pet that's going to visit you when a storm rolls in. Already bad, but the mere act of ruffling its feathers gives off an intense electric charge. And the dex is incredibly specific to say that the thunderstorms it creates are savage.
Oh.
That doesn't mean anything. What does a savage thunderbolt look like?
Oh,
Seven
I
is
don't
made
even
up of
want to
two
imagine
Pokemon,
that.
And they're two from one of the worst types for pet ownership. It's
You have a good one, Portal. Make sure you get plenty of sleep.
a creature double feature on fire types. With the exact same grade, Ninetales and Rapidash are the definition of interchangeable. With Rapidash, you have a gigantic horse whose body is covered in exposed flames. With Ninetales, you have a majestic fox with a talent for cursing entire bloodlines.
Yeah,
Rapidash
that is like,
enjoys
either
wide
way,
open
it's a
areas
bad
where it
time.
can run at top speed. Ninetales is
You have
described
a good
as
one.
incredibly vindictive. If you gain a Rapidash's trust, it will let you touch the flames without burning yourself. Ninetales
it's
will turn you
handy.
into a Pokemon if you pull on one of its tails.
If I pull on your tail hard enough, it'll turn me into a Gardevoir.
I went into writing this thinking that Ninetales was good, but Honestly, I think it should be down with the 5s and 4s. It's way worse than I remember.
Oh,
It is
yeah.
the first real beefy category, and
Oh,
it's where
oh,
the first
my
starter
goodness.
falls. No
Oh,
prizes for
I
guessing
see ya.
it's Charizard.
Oh.
It's the default
Yeah.
answer to what Pokemon you would want as a pet. Charizard has it all. 2 Mega Evolutions, which we're not counting since they're tantamount to animal cruelty, a Gigantamax, half its health missing due to entry hazards, the whole kit and caboodle. However, when it comes to actually having it as a pet, oh boy, it's a bad one.
Yeah,
First things
that's
first,
gnarly.
you can't keep any flammable objects near the ground since that swinging tail
Yep.
will light everything it
That
touches
tail
up like
will
a
just do
Christmas
you in.
tree. You just tied a lighter to your poodle's tail and hoped for the best. That's all without the hard truth
Calling
of
Charizard a
Charizards.
poodle.
Most of them are assholes. Charizard
Also
is
true.
a Pokemon predisposed to violence, and no amount of domestication is going to make it not rip your arms off when you don't give it food. It
Yeah,
may
also
hurt to
true.
hear, but Charizard is just such a bad pet. From one Gen 1 classic to another,
Ooh,
Nidoking
is also a good
as far as
one.
Pokemon go. What
Also a
with
good one to
Nidoran
have
male and
on,
female being
on the party.
distinctive Pokemon and not just gender swaps like Meowstic.
Yeah, it is really interesting how, because I'm pretty sure that was back before Pokemon had like distinct genders. I'm pretty sure like distinct genders didn't come in, I think, until Gen 2 or Gen 3. I want to say it was Gen 2. Because you couldn't do Pokemon breeding in the first one, I don't think. I don't remember if you can. I know there was I'm pretty sure there was the daycare where you could just level up your Pokemon off screen, but I don't know if you had Pokemon breeding in Gen 2. I'd have to look that up. But yeah.
Somehow morphing into a special attacking wall breaker in UU thanks to Sheer Force working with Life Orb in a way that makes no sense, and it being almost impossible to pin down what it's based on.
Digging into the
I
meta.
want to say Rhino, but we kind of
We have one
know
of those.
exactly which Pokemon that already is.
Yeah, we got
Nidoking is
Rhyhorn.
the first example of a Pokemon who has a pretty basic way to counteract its major flaws. Poison typing doesn't play in as much as you'd think since it's all centralized in its horn, but the lot of Pokedex entries choose to focus on its massive strength. Speaking of it in that classic Pokedex way of incredibly specific comparisons.
Yeah.
Did you know that Nidoking can destroy a telephone pole like it was a matchstick? The Dex really wants you to know this.
Let's see. It can swing. It can topple a metal transition tower. Once a Pokemon goes at a rampage, there's no stopping it. Nidoking's tail is enormously destructive power capable of toppling a metal transmission tower. One swing of its mighty tail can snap a telephone pole if it were a matchstick. Jeez, it literally is like every other description. They can't come up with anything new for this freaking Pokemon.
Mentions it like 5 times. It also frequently mentions how Nidoking's rampages are unstoppable, and you may be thinking,
oh yeah,
man,
there's no stopping
put
it.
down Nidoking, he's gone nuts. Well, put down that shotgun, Junior, as you can fix all of these problems with one simple solution.
Yep.
Get a Nidoqueen. Pokemon Sword's
True.
deck entry informs us that while yes, Nidoking rampages like an 18-wheeler with the personality of a power tool, it will stay calm around a Nidoqueen.
Yep,
Nidoqueen
you better double up.
Nidoking's better half, and while it's got a lot of issues of its own, you may notice its score is much higher than Nidoking's. This is mainly down to
I
it
love
just being
fucking
Nidoking, but it's
Oh my god, I love Nidoqueen's run in Pokemon Battle Revolution. It just like breaks out to like a jaunt, like a sprint there, just going like 2 miles an hour. It's so funny.
not gonna try and fist fight you. So if you're gonna adopt a Nidoking, make sure you get a Nidoqueen to go along with it.
Yep.
But they're also not small
They are a
Pokemon, so
package
it's gonna
deal.
be like you bought roommates instead of pets.
Yeah, that's
Speaking
true.
of upsettingly
Oh.
sized Pokemon, Machamp is just... Okay, you just adopted a bodybuilder. The
Yeah. I know what you freaks are into. I know what y'all think. I know the kind of people who would have one of these.
pet and owner dynamic gets really messed up when your dog can pick you up. So what are the pros
Yeah,
of
that's
getting
true.
a Machamp? Well, any home invader is going to piss themselves when they
Oh,
see a
yeah.
280-pound mountain of muscle barreling
Oh,
towards them
yeah.
at Mach 5. It's also proved that these Pokemon can be extremely helpful since they're used by moving companies to unload cargo. You can get Machamp to move your couch without ever getting off of it. So what's the downside? Your dog wants to practice wrestling holds on you. You have to be freakishly athletic to keep up with Machamp's insane regiment, and hey, maybe that's exactly what you need. You want to
I
get
really
into shape,
need.
and a
Oh yeah,
Machamp seems
I
perfect.
need to get in
Except
shape.
that's like
Honestly,
wanting to get into a yoga class and then going to an MMA training camp. Machamp is the deep end of sports exercising, so make sure you can already push the plate in your Fortress of Swolitude before you take on this beefcake.
oh yeah, I've seen like the really like nice little animation of Bee like training with her Pokemon. And we don't know who Bee is. She is the fighting type gym leader from Galar from Sword and Shield. And like a nice little animation of her like doing like her morning workout with like a Machoke and Machamp.
Victory Bell
Really
seems
nice.
like a decent pet up until the first time he tries to put you in his mouth and you see the bones and acid inside. Sure, it's gonna
Oh,
take care
yeah.
of pest control.
We know
but
what
it
this
doesn't
plant's
really
based
know
off
the
of.
difference between pests and my neighbor Clark, and he plows my driveway when it snows, and I really appreciate that.
Oh yeah,
Marowak is a
you
dog
don't want to
with
lose a good
baggage.
neighbor.
You're adopting a dog out of a bad situation,
Oh,
which is really
no.
noble. But it's like
Oh,
if an entire
no.
dog breed was born into bad situations.
Oh my god.
Depending on your emotional sensitivity, you might be able to take on all that Marowak's carrying, but that's a lot. It
You
carries
gotta
around
know
its
how to-
mother skeleton for offense
Yeah.
and defense. It has
You
an
gotta
emotional
know,
support corpse. I've met people who collect
Support
animal bones,
corpse.
and trust me, they seem like the exact type of psychopath
Oh my
who
God.
can handle Marowak just fine. After him is Kabutops, another fossil Pokemon like Aerodactyl.
Those
which
are
means
big
there's a
knife
level of
hands.
ferocity you need to
That's
account
not
for.
good.
Doubly so, since whereas Aerodactyl at least had to open its mouth to start doing damage, Kabutops is always at the ready to gut you with the 2 health hazards it calls hands.
Oh my god.
You're gonna need some specialized housing to accommodate it, but as far as prehistoric pets go, Kabutops somehow ends up on the more docile side. It's ruthless while hunting, meaning it's probably gonna mutilate a wild fox or two, but when
Oh,
it's not in
yeah,
combat,
that
it
is,
doesn't seem to have much issue. Find a place for it to hunt
Have
and
plenty
swim,
of towels.
and you have a pet approaching decency. The Nines are next, and they start off with Scyther.
Oh.
Giant cleavers for hands, eyes of a murder machine, and it can fly. How did this thing edge out Kabutops?
Yeah,
Simple,
let me
really.
know.
There's evidence of Scyther being a halfway decent pet thanks to the Pokedex. Ultramoon takes a break from talking about how Gollum likes to suffocate the elderly to talk about how Scyther is an incredibly popular Pokemon in Alola. So if you play your cards right and import an Alolan Scyther, you might just be able to get one that isn't going to make you look like a Fist of the North Star goon. Now,
Oh my
seeing as
God.
Alola is the Pokemon equivalent of a lawless wasteland,
Yeah, plus, I mean, they must be pretty skilled at, precision, stuff like that, considering the fact that there's the one lady in Lumio City who trained hers on how to do fur clipping. Pretty handy.
Considering how their Pokedex is written, take that with a grain of salt. We're still not at the Pokemon that make even alright pets. Jolteon comes next, and when it comes to evolutions, there's the good one, the bad one, and then there's Jolteon. Middle
Yeah.
child syndrome hits Jolteon like a truck. It is remarkably unremarkable. It's practically the middle of the pack in all regards. Mid-tier evolution, mid-tier for electric types in terms of safety.
Very
Jolteon
true.
represents the shift between Pokemon as pets being, yeah, okay, if you're insane, to, yeah, that's fine, I guess.
Yeah.
Sandslash is starting off the
Okay.
10s, and man, you'd think a monster made up of
Sandslash.
only edges would have something. Like, even Alola has only okay things to say about it.
Yeah,
It sheds its
Sandslash
spines
is,
a lot, but at the same time, you can sell
I mean,
those to farmers to make
yeah.
tilling equipment.
Very
That,
true.
and it can be kind
They're
of
pretty
lazy
handy.
and sleep in trees. That's adorable and not blood-curdling, so we're moving slowly but surely to good pets. Just because
Okay, so we're on track to some
doesn't
decent
mean
ones.
The danger is over since Golem is next.
Oh,
Aside
boy.
from having a scary lizard face after having a lovable and kind rock face in the last 2 evolutions, the scariest part
Very
of Golem is the same
strange.
thing that makes Gravelers so scary in Nuzlocke. It can detonate itself like a bomb. It
Okay,
uses this to
yeah.
propel itself up mountains, but if your staircase is too
Are you shitting me? Golem is a straight up rocket jumping up mountains then.
steep for its
Okay.
stumpy little legs, there's a good chance it's going to take out a portion of your building to try to get up them. All that being said, it still may be a worthwhile choice of companionship for the more rural trainers. Golems are known to shed their rock skin once a year, and the discarded rock actually makes the ground a lot more nutrient-rich.
Wow.
So as long as you live in a single-floor house with no nearby mountains, you can stop Golem from exploding, and then you have a pretty friendly rock friend. Dodrio is like when you have to adopt multiple hamsters to keep them from getting lonely, except it's actually a horrible Cerberus hamster and they all hate each other.
Yeah, pro tip. Make sure if you're adopting hamsters, have them in a large enclosure. Like if you're housing them in the same one, have a large enclosure. Have plenty of space for them to get away from each other from time to time. Because if you have more than one hamster in a tight enclosure and they get angry, hamsters are cannibals. Hamsters are very well known to cannibalize each other. Like, I had that happen. Like, well, not Mimi, but my little brother had that happen, where one of his hamsters just snapped and started trying to eat the other. Hamsters are fucking scary, dude.
Typing is doing a lot to carry these three knuckleheads. First things first, we have conclusive proof that the ride online can make for good pets, as your
Also
mom and
true.
Carlos is a former Rhyhorn racer and keeps one as a pet.
Very
Now,
true.
How much
So
of
we
its
have
docile
conclusive
nature
proof
is down
right
to the
there.
fact that she's worked with them for a long time? Well,
Yeah,
that's
that's
kind of up
also
for
a good point.
interpretation, and the interpretation that is correct is lots. If you really want to ride on, you're gonna have to take a class or two to really understand the ins and outs of its personality. Nothing in the Dexes outright state it's a murder machine, just that it's strong and is immune to lava. The combo of ground and rock typing is gonna make bath time into bedtime real fast, but other than that, you can do a lot worse than ride on.
That's why you have to give rock types like that a sand bath like a chinchilla. It gets them clean, really nice dry sand, gets all the grossness, all the grime out, and it doesn't hurt them.
PackRat is your pollywog pal with a penchant for poundings, as its powerful punches produce pulp out of proud pugilists.
Oh, it's gonna be one of these things, huh? A whole lot of alliteration, huh?
While plenty of Pokemon parade around with predatory predispositions, PackRat pulls back on its puissant powers whenever packed near pleasant people. Though its profoundly protracted practice requires precise
Oh my
proficiencies
God.
as to not leave you pooped,
How-
PackRat perpetually provokes pleased partialities from pros.
How
Finally,
did he
for the
do that
teens is
without
Magneton.
stuttering?
Let's make one thing perfectly clear. You don't want Magneton as a pet. Well,
Oh,
where's
I'm
that?
sure.
How to get this high on the list? Not only is it a giant walking magnet, meaning that your electronics are done for when Magneton gets close
Oh,
to it,
yeah.
but it lets out a low hum everywhere it goes that gives you earaches if you're near it for too long.
Oh.
What's the benefit then? Well, first off, it's stupid, so you're gonna have a lot of good footage of Magneton repeatedly walking into a wall that it can't even see with 3 eyes. Then, if you're looking for a low-maintenance Pokemon, Magneton is your bird. It doesn't need
Yeah,
food,
true.
water, or electricity like a lot of
Yeah.
other electric types. It just kind of floats there being annoying.
It's a
So
weird
it's
little
bird.
thing.
Only 4 Pokemon
A
scored
bird.
11 points, one of whom is the final member of the majestic bird trio. But before him is a literal rat. Have you
It's me! I'm a literal rat. I'm a literal rat.
ever felt like inviting a plague into your house? Do you hate having solid drywall? Has the scent of death ever been a welcome smell in your home?
Oh.
Get Eradicate! Raticates are bound to bring in more Rattatas with them, and it does its best impression of a bug type by flooding your house with rats.
You best be willing to invite the mischief in.
It's a normal type, which means you don't have to worry about any elemental shenanigans, but what you do need to worry about is the worst temper of any Pokemon thus far. This thing
Oh.
makes Beedrill look like a saint. Raticates are so
What?
incredibly violent that if you touch its whiskers, it will attack you. And
Oh, no.
completely unprompted, it can bite your hand clean off.
What?
I've always wanted a hook
Oh.
hand. Thanks, Raticate. The only other
Oh my
positive
goodness,
it has is that
Raticate.
if you don't take out your trash, Raticate is set on food for a few weeks. Despite everything I
That's
make
handy.
being amazing, you can see that Raticate is kind of gaming the system. That normal
Yeah, a
typing
little
and
bit.
ability to eat trash are bolstering the whole angry asshole part of its personality.
Yeah, they
Hey,
are,
everybody, it's Doug Trio. My
Oh.
landlord is not going to let me have a Pokemon that is actively destroying the foundation of my house. I have a
Yeah,
deposit to
that
pay
is,
back, and it's not going to be worth much if the floor is covered
Yeah.
in giant trenches. And
That
it
is a
doesn't
good
even
point.
have the thick, majestic mane of the Alolan version, so my reasons for loving him are limited. That being said, 3 times the head means
Bald-headed
3
little
times the
freak.
love, and Doug Trio is more than willing to love you back. The highest-ranking legendary bird, Articuno's just a big cave bird. Believe it or
Yeah,
not,
it's a big
unlike
old
his
birdie.
brothers who create thunderstorms and forest fires, Articuno just creates pleasant winter breezes. All you really gotta worry about
That's
is
handy.
housing, because it's a pretty big bird, but other than that, yeah, pick yourself up an Articuno.
Yeah, you best be ready to have like a whole like supersized emu in your house if you're going to be picking up an Articuno.
Final 11 Pokemon is Cloyster, and you know what animal has never made a great pet? Clams. What am I supposed to do with this? Cloyster
Clams are a little
doesn't
freak.
exactly fix that. His best aspect is his typing and the fact that clams are very low-maintenance pets. Now,
True.
you're not gonna get close to him lest he clamps down on you and skewers you with his various horns, but
Oh.
hey, don't gotta take him on walks. 12
Yeah,
starts
that's
with
true.
Lickitung, and hey, Maybe you can make it work. Normal
Oh.
typing, easy to house due to its small size, eats bugs for pest control, generally
Okay.
not a danger except,
Okay.
oh no, whenever it licks something, it smells like garbage and you'll break out in a horrible rash. Okay, another normal
Oh.
typing that gamed the system. This isn't looking good.
Okay, great, fantastic.
Electabuzz is about the furthest thing you can get from a good-looking pet, what with it being a giant mustard yellow yeti with fangs, but reading over its dex entries show a different story. For years and years, Electabuzz has been blamed for power outages by attacking power plants like Electrodes and Pikachus do. But it turns out that Electabuzz's part in that has been grossly overstated, and it's in fact the failing of the power plants that causes power outages. Electabuzz itself may give you a shock
So
when it goes
Electabuzz
for a
just,
hug,
like,
but its real
finds
utility
failing
comes as a
power
lightning
outages?
rod. It conducts electricity amazingly, so
It would be interesting having like an electrical inspector just walking around with an Electabuzz, and like Electabuzz is like picking up like shorts and faults and various electrical lines. That'd be very interesting.
just set it loose during a thunderstorm and it's all set. Not just that, but it can even create its own electricity by windmilling its arms around, and at that point, if you get hit, it's your own fault. Keeping the theme of big sweeties that look like Satan's razor, Pinsir is a Pokemon that, while objectively being just a worse Heracross, doesn't deserve the bad rap its horrifying face gives off. While they can be aggressive, simply giving
worse
it access to a heated
Heracross.
blanket will warm it up to you since it hates the
Oh,
cold. After
well,
that,
that's
you've
handy.
got a pretty powerful pal with the ability to split logs and toss cars, which will really improve my ability to get to work on time. Almost
Okay.
Snorlax is just a burden and
Just no words on Heracross. Just praise the Helix. Hi Kai, welcome to the stream.
in all honesty, this thing wakes up for two things, fighting and eating, and it only does
Big
those
ol'
two things
boy.
so it can go back to sleeping. Despite that, you're in no danger of being hurt by a creature that can barely recognize that you're there. You can probably
True.
sleep on its belly too, just don't wake it up too early or it will destroy God out of anger.
Oh,
Starmie
yeah.
is probably
You
the
don't wanna
worst
get hit one of
Pokemon
those
for
hyper
people who
beam
need
eyes.
facial expressions to understand emotions. Are you happy, Starmie? Angry? Do you want some food? Say
Yeah, if you want to star me, you better learn real quick how to learn to read those color signals.
something for fuck's sake! It's a lovely little starfish, meaning it's not exactly up to much and is a pet for the owner who doesn't really care about doing anything with their pet. Although it does give off radio signals at random to an unknown source, there's a very good chance you didn't buy a new best friend, you just bought an old police radio. 13 starts off with the Hitmons Chan and Lee. Naturally,
Okay.
two Pokemon so similar are gonna get similar scores, so it really just comes down to which
Yeah.
one you like more. Both are gonna run you ragged, but being more disciplined means they're gonna know when enough is enough and treat you to some muscle milk after a long workout.
So that's good.
It's a real product, you pervs. Parasect is,
Yeah, it is.
Well, you
Oh,
think you're
yeah.
adopting a sort of weird, crab-looking spider guy, but no, you're adopting
No.
the mushroom, because the
Yeah.
mushroom calls all the shots.
Yeah, the mushroom
You're
is
telling
in
me I wasted all
control.
this money on bug food? Just give it some water and you'll probably be fine. Honestly, if it just sits there, it's kind of hard to tell whether or not you're doing a good job.
Very
And for some
true.
people, that's the best thing a pet could do. Just look out for the rotting corpse of the bug under the mushroom as it starts
Ugh.
to decompose after
Yeah,
a while.
that is,
Psyduck is a prime
yeah, that's
example
awful.
of a Pokemon that will never evolve because not a single person on Earth is going to say, "Oh man, I love Golduck." You're gonna keep this thing as Psyduck because it's either that or deal with a duck that can look you eye to eye.
Oh,
Since he's a
yeah,
little
Golducks
ducky,
are
It's
big.
not gonna be hard to house him, and it's gonna take a lot less water to keep him happy compared to something like Tentacruel. The major setback for Psyduck is the fact that it's in constant agony. Psyduck may
Oh,
not be a
yeah.
hard Pokemon
Those
to care for in
migraines are
terms of
awful.
food, but you're gonna need to give this thing Advil with a shovel just to try to make it through the day.
Yeah, you best start giving your Psyduck some Tylenol extra strength.
Arcanine's just a dog. Not the most dramatic of revelations,
I mean,
know,
it's
but
a dog
it
that's
thankfully
5
leans
feet
way
tall.
more into the dog typing
Or 6
than
feet
the
tall,
fire.
probably.
All of its dex entries talk about how fast it is and how everybody likes it, and doesn't talk about how it burns hotter than the surface of the sun. It's still a 6-foot tall dog, so you're in danger
Yeah, a
of being
6-foot
smothered
tall
to death by
dog.
its love, and
Like, you better be prepared to have, like, a Caucasian Shepherd or something, because those things get huge. Like, Caucasian Shepherds are gigantic. Like, I've seen one that's, like, this lady that has one, and the dog is bigger than she is. They are big old boys.
it taking up most of the room in any building it's in, which is bad, but it can learn extreme speed,
Oh, yeah,
I
that's
don't know
true.
if that does anything for you, but it can learn extreme speed.
Get you to
Kingler
work
is
in
a
like
really
5
weird
seconds.
Pokemon. You'd think with a claw like that, it'd be just like Raticate, who cheated on his exam to get as high as he did. Well, most of Kingler's dex entries just make you feel
Cracks are
bad for it,
surprisingly
honestly.
docile.
Its massive claw can rip foes in twain with 10,000 horsepower, which is like getting hit with 2 of the fastest cars in the world at once.
Jesus.
But when out of combat, it can barely move its claw and struggles to do anything.
Oh,
you know
no.
those wheelchairs they give dogs who lose a leg?
Oh!
Yeah, just give one of those things to Kingler's claw
Oh
and it'll
my
probably
God.
die for you. The last Pokemon rated 13 is Seadra, and it's kind of an odd duck, cause in Gen 1, it's Horsey's final form, but even then it had massive middle stage energy. Kingdra thankfully came along and saved the line from being horrible, but that does leave Seadra on the list in a very awkward position.
Yeah, because Kingdra is a Gen 2 Pokemon. Plus, Kingdra also has that dragon type going for it, so that might do some damage to its typing.
It's kinda got nothing. The most that any dex entry has to say about this thing is that it has poisonous spikes, which doesn't really do it any favors, but it also doesn't really learn any poison type moves.
Yeah, that's already a bad mark.
If anybody does end up getting a Seadra as a pet, please let me know what it's like, because it seems dreadfully boring. 14 not only has the previously mentioned Nidoqueen, but the next starter after so long, Blastoise. Appropriate for a Pokemon with artillery on its body, it can be a bit of a daunting pet. At 5 foot, he's in between Venusaur and Charizard, and that basically means size-wise, it's going to be another person living in your house. Not going to need
a very
any special
wide person,
accommodations, save for just making sure that your doorways are wide enough.
Yeah,
Water
very
as well
true.
is a pretty innocent type as far as danger goes. Don't ask where the water comes from, because you're probably just going to be happy to have a quick and easy way to cool off in the summer. More importantly, though, don't ever ask Blastoise to blast you directly, since a blast
I was about to
like
mention that.
out a slip and slide for a pressure washer.
I was about to mention that. It's like, don't ask for it to hit you directly with those things, because you're basically asking to be shot with like a full pressure fire hose. Like, just have it use like a hydro pump up into the air and give you like a nice little rain shower.
Also, it's not a good idea to get on Blastoise's bad side, since one of the most common words in its dex entries is brutal. Now, safe to say this is a situation where you really need to rile up Blastoise to make him violent, but still, when it can punch holes in thick steel, caution is necessary.
Oh yeah, it is a big old beefy
Blastoise, but at the same time, there are other water Pokemon without the ability to snipe you from over 100 feet away.
Very true.
Alakazam is one of the
Yeah, you could get an Inteleon, which could snipe you from probably about 1,000 feet away.
Pokemon to consider for a pet, as out and out he's just smarter than you are.
Very
he knows
true.
Everything. You're not adopting a dog, you're buying somebody to do your taxes for you. However smart you think you are, Alakazam actually is that smart. All this
Very
while
true.
discounting the fact that he also has psychic powers.
Like,
Alakazam
if I
starts to get
recall, Alakazam has is stated in the dex of having an IQ of 500. So it is a very incredibly intelligent Pokemon.
Brain Blast, it's gonna give you a splitting headache. So what's the benefit of having this Pokemon? Well, if you can get to be friends with it, which means it can recognize friends from foes, you get to use one of its spoons, and anything you eat with it instantly becomes delicious.
Oh?
Anything! All that health food that tastes like
Well, that's
God's wrath
handy.
becomes ice cream instantly, and that's going to help
very
you keep
handy.
up with Machamp, who is still trying to turn your mindset into a grind set. Also, you don't need to take care of him. If he wants food, he'll just go to the store and buy some.
That's
It's
also
far-fetched
true.
Just how high
It's very,
far-fetched
you know,
to get on this list,
be
but when you're basically just
responsible
a regular
Pokemon to give
duck
my
with
bank
a
card
long
to.
stick, yeah, I doubt there's gonna be much objection. He might hit you with the onion, but have you seen his attack stat? That's nothing to worry about. You're an embarrassment, Farfetch. Come back when you start to look cool. Seaking! Is there any more nothing Pokemon than Seaking?
Fuck yeah,
Like, it's really
Seaking.
just a fish. No regional forms, no mega evolutions, no evolutions in different generations. I don't think anybody would ever say they would want Seaking as a...
Honest to God, I'm genuinely surprised no generation has introduced a Seaking evolution yet. Hey, Wind and Waves, your whole thing is open oceans and high skies, so you could very much transform this thing into a flying fish. Then again, no. I was gonna say no. Like, we don't need another water flying type. We don't need another 4 times effective, a 4 times super effective to super effective electric type Pokemon. Like, I mean, you could always make it a water dragon type. You know, kind of, give it that horn. That'd be really nifty. but I doubt it. We've already got Gyarados.
Pet, to the depths with you, you ugly fish! It'd be an alright pet. Lastly is Tauros. For those familiar with the metagame
Just a
of
big
Gen
bull.
1, you'd know that Tauros is the table, the best Pokemon in the game without a shred of argument to be made in either direction.
Oh?
Nobody beats Tauros.
Well, I guess that's pretty handy to know in the future when I eventually do my Pokemon Gen 1 Nuzlocke, because that will be happening at some point in the future. It's just a matter of planning it out.
As a pet, he's alright. Like, he's
Yeah,
only
he's
really
okay.
lagging in housing and ease of care, but other than that, the normal typing is the best type to be,
Yeah,
and he's
if
not
you own a
temperamental or
Tauros,
dangerous.
if you own a
Sure, he could
Tauros, you
gore
own a
but
farm.
when you're the idiot that taunted a bull into attacking you, at some point Darwinism kicks in and kicks you out.
Very
13
true.
marks the official entry into the actually good pets. Everything from here on out would be a good pet that you could give to almost anybody, and they probably wouldn't die. Who better to usher in this era than the best starter pet, Venusaur? Starter
There's
question.
the boy.
How big do you think Venusaur is? Honestly, maybe 3-4 feet if you count the plant in his height?
No, it's like 6 feet
No.
tall.
6 foot, bordering
Oh,
on
yeah.
6'1". This
Yeah.
is a pet that's probably
This boy
as
is
tall,
ballin'.
if not taller than you are, so it's not going to be a great Pokemon when it comes to comfortably fitting in most houses.
Granted, much of its height is probably in that plant on its back, really.
On top of that, as a grass type, it's probably going to want to spend most of its time outside to be in direct sunlight.
Oh, yeah.
It's also a good thing to keep it outside as it's poison type. However, in this case, it's not as bad as the usual poison type, which is really, really common in Kanto for some reason.
Oh, yeah, Kanto is chock full of poison
bellowing
types.
gas means that it's probably not going to drool a highly deadly toxin onto you when it wants to be fed. It's also a combination
Yeah, it's
of
all
pet
localized
and
in that
incense,
flower.
as Venusaur gives off a sweet calming scent from its flower. On top
Yep.
of that, seeing as it mostly feeds on sunlight, it'll be a cinch to feed it, meaning you don't have to break the bank on Venusaur food. Despite the
Also
handicap
true.
of poison typing, Venusaur's positive traits let it slip
It's
into
very
being
nice to
good
have a
pet,
Pokemon who
just
feeds via
barely, though.
photosynthesis.
Keep antidotes stocked at all times, regardless of if he's dripping poison or not.
Also
Vero
that,
is
yeah.
a sad case, since it's just kind of worse Pidgeot. They're both flying
Yeah,
normal birds, which means
true.
they got pretty much the same grade in terms of housing and typing. The only major difference is in its massive beak, which is
Yeah, like, I feel like Fearow should get an evolution. Like, if they're gonna take any two Pokemon and Wind and Waves and give them a new evolution, it is Seaking and Fearow. I want to see that. Give Fearow an evolution, give Seaking an evolution, give them a new additional typing instead of just water and normal flying to differentiate them away from the Pokemon that they share generations with.
a little less safe than Pidgeot, in the same way that a butter knife is more safe than a butterfly knife. You'd think that
Also
its dex
true,
entries
yeah.
would talk about how evil and nasty and kinda messed up it is thanks to how much it can hold a grudge, see Pidgeot, but no, most
Yeah.
of them just talk about how it's really old, runs away from fights, and likes to carry heavy packages. Between this and Pidgeot, it's
They're
really just
old
a
men.
matter of aesthetics, and I'll tell you, I'll take my Javelin Bird any day, despite the fact that I'm convinced they flipped the names in development. The Pokemon that causes fear is named Spearow, and the Pokemon that looks like a spear is named Fearow. Make it make sense.
Yeah.
It's finally time for the big man himself.
It's Pikachu!
After Charizard, no doubt a lot of people's first choice for a Pokemon partner. It's like how a lot of people say their favorite dinosaur is the T-Rex. Wrong, it's Ankylosaurus. He was a gangster who ankle broke those weak pack-hunting scavengers. Pikachu has shown itself to be a great
Ankylosaurus.
partner. There's more than enough evidence to show that thanks to the several hundred episodes of the Pokemon documentary. Now with Pikachu, you basically get a designer pet since it's not afraid to strut its stuff in cosplay depending on what you teach it.
Oh, yeah. If I were to have a Pikachu, I'd definitely have a cosplay Pikachu. Just because of, honestly, their, like, their proficiency in cosplay, plus the cute little black tip on their tail.
And unlike every other pet that's ever been forced to wear clothes, Pikachu at least looks like it doesn't want to die. Despite
Very
being
true.
a mouse Pokemon, it's clearly not going to get that fat little body into a mouse hole, so housing is no concern. It just wants to eat berries and sleep, so it's a little more like a cat than anything else. The electric
Yeah,
typing can
it's a
be
little
a bit of
rat.
a negative, though,
It's a
since
real
getting
little
a
rat
shock when you
fella.
hug it is a real possibility. However, it's never out of being mean. Pikachus are just generally docile and aren't out to make trouble. The most
Yeah.
they're going to do is scorch their berries when they want to eat and shock you a
Aw.
bit when they wake up because they're sleepy. Pikachu isn't a shocking pick for a good pet, but it's at least nice to read a series of dex entries that don't end with "It eats 2,000 babies a year" when we get
I really do hope that cosplay Pikachu comes back, because if anything, like, with those two Pikachus in the trailer for Wind and Waves, like, I don't know, we might get cosplay Pikachu again.
To the cracked end that is Alola. Now, your initial reaction to seeing someone own a Mr. Mime should be, I can't trust this person, and you would be right because they most likely have very bad intentions, but that's not Mr. Mime's fault. Sure, his Gen 1 sprite looks like Curly from the Three Stooges was cursed by a sea witch to be trapped in gym equipment, but there's a lot
he really
more to
does!
life.
Oh my
First off,
god!
built-in entertainment value. He could do mime acts. Second
Yeah.
off is the fact that unlike a lot of Pokemon, Mr. Mime has the capacity to be helpful. Regardless of
Very
whether or not
true.
you let him eat at the table, he's gonna help you with the dishes.
Honestly, that is one of the most fucked up things about the Pokemon anime. The fact that, like, despite the fact that Mr. Mime is basically always helping around the house, doing the dishes and stuff, he's still forced to eat Pokemon food and sit on the floor and eat out of a bowl. That is so fucked up, honestly. Like, the fact that Dahlia, or I'm pretty sure it's Dahlia Ketchum, her English name, but like, the fact that she still makes him eat out of a bowl on the floor is the most messed up thing I have ever seen in the entire Pokemon anime, and it's so funny.
The worst thing you can expect from Mr. Mime is he's gonna make you walk into invisible walls because it would be funny, and face it, it would be if it was happening to anybody else.
It would be
and if
funny.
you don't think it's funny, he'll slap you. Dugong is a funny pick. Have you ever seen what a harp seal can do? Here's the answer, not much.
Dugong.
Seals already look like an
I
animal that
want
God had a
one,
personal
though.
grudge with, and Dugong
Like,
certainly keeps that up.
Harp seals are they're just dogs with fins, man. They're just little puppies with fins, dude. I want one. Like, if my pool was, like, still standing, like, and if I had more room, I'd just build, like, a nice little pool for it to hang around in. I'd buy, like, fish to toss in there for it to go hunting around and just playing around in. Like, oh my goodness. God damn, I want a seal. It's one of those pets that I can't have that I want.
Its ferocious fangs and itty-bitty horn aren't exactly enough to kill anybody, while most of his dex entries just talk about how it enjoys swimming and how it likes to nap in warm weather to help it digest.
It will freeze you to death with a blizzard, though.
Dugong is an adorable pup. Finally, in 15 is
Oh, yeah.
Lapras, so you can probably guess that a whole Plesiosaurus is going to be hard to house, since it's not like it can come on land without awkwardly bouncing from place to place.
Very true. You're only going to want these things if you live in, like, a coastal town. Like, if you live on the beach, yeah.
That and getting food for it is really the worst thing you can mark against Lapras. I mean, look at it. It's dutifully carried people that it's never even met across oceans and enjoys
One of the
human
most
company.
helpful Pokemon.
The only other problem you might run into is trying to get a permit to own a Pokemon as exotic and endangered as Lapras, but thanks to the repopulation efforts, you won't have to worry about that anymore.
Very
this
true.
Is thanks to the super heartwarming story of a kid who learned that Lapras was going extinct and began breeding and releasing them to try to stop them from dying out, and
That
it
is
worked.
That is a real story, by the way. A kid learned that Lapras is an endangered Pokemon. So he would just keep breeding Laprases and then releasing them into the wild. And like, I'm not talking about something in universe. I'm talking about a kid who had a Pokemon game, learned about the fact that Lapras is endangered, and just started breeding Lapras and releasing them into the wild. And that is one of the most heartwarming things in the world, and it is amazing. And the fact that, like, that is subtly acknowledged, because it is acknowledged that Lapras used to be endangered before conservation efforts were kicked in, and now it's been taken off the endangered list. Yeah, if people could do that with real life animals, so we wouldn't constantly see the extinction of new animal species each year.
All the money you spend on Lapras, though, can be recouped if you open a fairy company. At least
Also
you know
true.
Lapras will enjoy it. The lone Pokemon to score 16 points, it's Butterfree.
Yeah, just open, like, a tour, like, honestly, just, like, move to the Great Lakes, open a tour company where people ride on the back of Laprases.
Bugs are incredibly good for housing, since whether you want to believe it or not, you probably already have a few bug-type pets in your house right now.
Very
Flying pet
true.
does mean
You
that
are
you're gonna
always
wanna keep it
surrounded by
outside
bugs.
most of the time, especially given the fact that its main source of food is nectar. That bug typing I mentioned earlier isn't exactly a positive, however, since however many
Also
bugs
true.
you see, there are 20 more lurking around your house. You get
Yeah.
a pet Butterfree, and suddenly you have a baker's dozen worth of pet Caterpie, which isn't exactly a bad pet in and of itself, and Metapod is basically a pet statue. Butterfrees
Very
are also
true.
incredibly well behaved, only fighting when it's absolutely necessary, so it's unlikely to start biting my son if it accidentally tugs on its wings. If it does get into a fight, however, it has an ability to spread highly toxic dust, which is odd since it's not a poison type, but
Yeah,
it's still something to consider.
it's not a poison type, but it can still spread poison.
It is, however, so if you want to play it safe, you can always get a Johto Butterfree who is bound to be less toxic. And as for feeding the thing,
I love how he's differentiating like regions to like, oh, it's like, oh, you want a Butterfree that's better behaved? Get one from Johto instead.
on a flower patch and it'll feed itself. You just gotta watch out for its natural rival, as it's known to get into heated battles for territory with Cutie Fly.
Cutie Fly?
Even, you say? Cutie Fly is the size of a dime. How is it feuding with anything? 17 is home
Cutie
to
Fly
a
with the
whopping 2
blicky.
Pokemon, one of whom could fold the other one up and eat it for breakfast. Clefable may be the first ever Pokemon without a Dex entry having a single bad thing to say about it.
And fun fact, the one they were talking about there that can fold it up and eat it for breakfast, that would be Clefable. Because Clefable, it is a beast of a fairy type.
Kanto, Johto, Hoenn, Sinnoh, Unova, Kalos, Alola, Galar, even Asui have nothing but glowing praise for it. If Alola's saying that you're docile and nervous, then you know that you're really no danger to anybody. The fairy typing also means that if the stray Hydreigon comes to try and kill you, as it is wont to do,
oh yeah,
Clefable is able to
Hydreigon.
drive it into the dirt.
Oh my
Barely
god.
edging it out is Dragonite. This big guy may be the only dragon type
Big
in this
old
generation, but that's
goofy
not the only
baby.
bad thing you have to say about it. The term friend-shaped was made for Dragonite. This
Friend.
thing couldn't hurt you unless it wanted to, in which case you
Friend-shaped.
would smash so hard you change star signs.
Oh.
And this dragon isn't demolishing people stupid enough to piss it off, it's helping shipwrecked boats. This comes up so often in its deck
It is a very helpful Pokemon.
Dragonite's hobby. So much so that they've established a supposed island of just Dragonites to take care of shipwrecked sailors on to help them recuperate.
Wow.
While you may not find yourself getting into boat crashes regularly, it's always nice to have a guardian angel, or in this case, guardian dragon. 18 is here and
It's also funny to me, like, the opening to Pokemon the first movie, when you have this Dragonite, like, delivering mail, and how strong is Jessie to be able to stop a full tilt flying Dragonite with just a frying pan? Like, that has to be like a sturdy cast iron pan, and Jessie must have some amazing leg strength. Holy shit. God damn, she can like the amount of like body control and body strength she must have. Whenever she goes to town on you, she could put her fucking back in it. Holy shit.
we are dangerously close to the really good pets, and there are only 4 Pokemon between us and the cream of the crop, as well as the cream of the crap, but we'll get to them. Alright, pop quiz hotshot, what bird is Pidgeot based on? You may have guessed that the smidgen of pigeon in the name would imply this brainless moron, but there isn't really a pigeon that's quite this
Pigeons
pissed
are
off.
great.
Pidgeot is more accurately an osprey or an eagle, which puts it in the bird of prey category. Now, that name may be a big turnoff, since bird of prey doesn't exactly conjure warm, fuzzy feelings, but
That's
seeing
also
as
very
falcons,
true.
eagles, and hawks aren't the most uncommon pet in the world, it's not the worst type of bird to be. It's no parrot, but it's no ostrich either.
Yeah,
Housing
it's just a
this
big
thing
old
is really
birdie.
more a matter of giving it somewhere to roost. It's way
Yeah,
more flying
you're gonna
than
want
it
a
is
nice
normal,
tree.
So just give it a perch and it should be fine. That normal typing does come in handy, as it's a great pet type.
Very
You don't
true.
have to worry about it shorting out electrical sockets or freezing you to death. It's just a bird. A bird that will die for you. Pidgeots, when trained right, are ride or die Pokemon.
They are
Add
super
someone
loyal.
6-1 on a Fearow and proceeds to fight it forever. Aside from that, Pidgeot does have a good
It really is funny that when he releases his Pidgeot, it just becomes like, it's immediate like East Coast, West Coast mode with a fucking Fearow in the area. Hey there, Groudon. Welcome to the chat. Nice to see you. We're going through what Pokemon in Kanto is the best and worst pet.
track record with humans, seeing as tons of Dex entries talk about how popular of a Pokemon it is thanks to its plumage. It also excludes
It is
any
very
talk about
pretty
it murdering
plumage.
people. Pidgeot's
Also true.
company in this tier is Tangela. The
Tangela.
tumbleweed with Jordans is just too wonderful for this world. He's pure grass, meaning that unlike
Oh
every
my god.
single other
Imagine buying Jordans for your Tangela. Like, imagine buying just any shoes for your Pokemon.
Planting Kanto, he's not either spewing poison or psychic waves. He's as basic as a grass type gets in this region. You're back.
Is Tangela the only mono grass type in Kanto? The only, like, non-grass poison? Jesus.
You have to help him get untangled from a bush every now and again, but that's far from the worst thing a Pokemon has asked you for help with. Plus, if you're ever curious what your pet tastes like, freak, you're in luck since you can pluck the vines off it with no damage inflicted to Tangela since they grow back within the day. He's just
That's
a
handy,
wonderful
I
little
guess.
tumbleweed friend. We're finally here. 19 points and 20 marks, the best of the best that Pokemon have to offer in the realm of being a pet. Unfortunately, we're going right to those because we can't cover the Pokemon that scored a 19, since one of them is Jinx, and I don't care how many of you wouldn't, there are still just as many that would.
Oh my god, that is true. There are some, like, I have no room to talk because my favorite Pokemon is Gardevoir. And we know what that's all about. We know what that's like. But, yeah.
The other Pokemon is Vaporeon, and I
The
don't
copy
trust
pasta.
a single one of you to be adults about this.
Yeah, we know the copy pasta. We know the copy pasta here.
There are plenty of people who are completely oblivious as to why we're skipping it, and I advise you to keep it that way. The big 20 is here, and now we have the best
big old
of the
20s.
best. The next 11 Pokemon are #1 in their field, and are what every trainer should hope to have. The first is a Pokemon that somehow conquered the globe of Meowth. Well, it's unlikely yours is able to hold a conversation with...
Okay, well, now that's just quitter talk, really. Like, the fact that universally, like, Meowth used to be quadrupedal Pokemon, and now it's just like all of them are up on their hind legs, just straight bolting, running. Like, like, honestly, it's like, the fact that a Pokemon like Meowth could learn to stand upright and talk just to get a crumb of pussy. Like, fundamentally, like, that should show that, like, Pokemon, more or less, if you put a Pokemon in the right environment, they can communicate and be on the same level as, like, a human. It's like the Lucario that's voiced by Goku in the Lucario movie. And, like, plenty of other instances of, like, human-level intelligent Pokemon. Like, yeah, it can be. It's just everybody treats them like animals.
Do you like the most famous member of its species? It's got plenty of attitude on its own. All this lazy piece of crap does is sleep and obsess over shiny objects, and that is the most true-to-life description of a cat I have ever heard.
As someone who has 9 cats, yes, that is very true.
To have no thoughts whatsoever except
no
what's
thought,
that,
head
and
empty.
I'm hungry and I love them for it.
Oh
Meowths
yeah,
are also quick to
the best
befriend
little
somebody
babies.
with a steady supply of coins and shiny objects. Just give Meowth your pocket change at the end of the week and you've got a friend for life. The only problem is keeping up with its more expensive tastes, but I'm sure you'll find it's worth it. Plus, it can also generate money out of thin air, so it's a good investment.
Oh yeah, very true. That give it an amulet coin and use this payday, and you're golden, dude.
Executor is everything you could ever want from a grass type, and especially a psychic type. For one reason. He's not smarter than me! Finally, a house plant that can't beat me in chess! That's what I'm talking about!
A big old dummy.
Than a bag of hammers, just real dolt behavior.
It's
3
a
heads are way
doofus.
worse than 1, since most of the time the 3 can't even agree on which direction to go in, leaving it standing totally still. Yes, this is what I wanted. I want a real dummy of a pet. This thing can't blow up my car or dip my soul in acid. He's just a fun-loving coconut tree that likes falling over. This is what I've been waiting for. Leaping past 21, the last 3 regular Pokemon
nobody
all
made it
land
to
in the
21.
22-point column. First of that trio is Jigglypuff. The absolute worst you can expect from an ill-tempered Jigglypuff is a refreshing nap and a quick face rinse after you get drawn on. Just make sure to give it a washable marker and you're gonna be just fine with this thing. It's
just
small,
give it like
let's
give it like a dry erase marker. You'll be fine.
Around your house, and on those nights where you just can't get to sleep, can use Sing to knock you right out. Just don't plan on anything early in the morning, because you're gonna need time to wash up. There are many things cuter in the pet kingdom than a mother with her child, and with Kangaskhan you have exactly that. This mammoth of a mama has a nurturing paternal nature that not only means she's going to be on her best behavior to set a good example for her kid, but that means you have a package deal.
Yeah, like if you run a daycare, the best Pokemon to have are a Chansey and a Kangaskhan.
To be a good influence on her Joey and Kangaskhan is bound to warm up to you quickly. The last
Very true.
Pokemon before the top 5 is every single Pokemon rolled up into one, Ditto. If you were expecting Ditto to be number 1 because you could have every single Pokemon at once, congratulations on realizing what a bad ending that would have been.
Well, I mean, now that we know what we know from Pokopia, I think it would probably get some extra points in this because, I mean, now it can just transform into a human.
Saying that takes away what makes Ditto itself special. It's a lovely little dollop of slime that's just here to be happy. He can turn into whatever he wants, and since it's clearly a process that it enjoys, that means you don't just have any Pokemon, you can have anything.
Very true.
Yeah, also, Mew is an option, I guess, but like, good luck making the embryo from which all life began your pet. Here you can find him either under a truck or at Toys R Us. The moment we've all been waiting for. The end is within sight. We're on
Here
to
we
the top
go.
5 best and top 5 worst
The
Poke
best and
Pets.
worst.
The 5th worst Poke Pet is one that I'm willing to put money on saying most, if not everybody, forgot existed.
Venomoth.
Don't lie, you did
1
remember
point.
him. Venomoth seems pretty unassuming. It kind of just looks like Butterfree in a sneaky disguise.
Oh my
Not
god.
The case. All
1
down to
and a
one
half.
distinction. Swapping flying for poison changes so much.
Oh my
Bug
god,
needs
yeah, it
all the
does.
help it can to stay out of the trash can, but poison slam dunks it in like Shaq. This thing will get lost in your wall, and
that
before
bug
you
is bad
know it,
enough.
weeks later,
Poison
you'll have 20
is
Venonats,
awful.
which is a responsibility you're not ready for. What ruins everything this Pokemon has going for it, which, reminder, is nothing, is the same thing that doomed Vileplume.
Oh, yeah.
Every single flap of this thing's wings disperses massive amounts
Oh
of
my
poisonous
god,
dust.
that's awful.
Just moving is going to
That's
kill
worse.
you. Oh, surely it can't be every single time.
Every time.
Every single Dex entry, save for Hoenn, just gives a guide on how this thing is going
Every
to kill
time
you.
it flaps its
Getting a
wing,
Venomoth
it
is the
looses
equivalent of getting a
toxic
loose tank
dust.
of carbon
Oh my
monoxide
god.
as a pet. Spot 5 for the best pet, however, is...
Slowpoke.
Slowpoke is the couch potato's dream. This thing, which the wiki states is a cross between a sea otter, baby hippo, and a giant salamander, 3-piece pod, Slowpoke is the closest thing to a pet rock in a universe with living pet rocks. All it wants to do is laze around and sunbathe. You can't
The big old
anything to make this
doofus.
thing upset
The
you, 'cause
dummy.
by the time it realizes it's mad, it will already forgotten what it's mad about. Just sit on the couch with a bag of potato chips in Season 4 of Monk, and Slowpoke will sit by you the entire time. Or, if you are a literal psychopath, you can lop off Slowpoke's tail with a hatchet and eat it. Don't, though. It's just weird. It won't feel the pain, but why are you eating your dog? Burning up number...
Yeah, I mean, you don't even need to chop them off anyway. Slowpokes shed their tail naturally. There's a reason why Slowpoke tail is an actual, like, delicacy in the Pokemon world, is because Slowpoke's tails just fall off. So people just house and, like, they just house Slowpokes and collect their tails when they fall off and fucking sell them.
Number 4 on the worst side is... Old Booby Boy just happens to have a trend that follows fire types like the
Good
plague,
old
and that's
Magmar.
the Pokedex boasting about its body temperature. Magmar is the worst for it, though, as it clocks in at 2,200 degrees Fahrenheit. At the temperature of molten lava, Magmar just existing is going to burn your house down, melt your flesh, and make sure the only thing your family has to bury is ashes.
Yeah, like, you let that thing in your house, like, you let that thing into your house, and your house is going to go up in flames.
It gets worse because the fire is one thing, but his bad attitude is way worse.
Oh, that's
He's
even
a
worse,
bit of a jerk, and when
he's a
upset, he'll
dickhole.
start breathing fire until whatever's making him mad is gone. Just touching it is enough to give you a burn that will last the rest of your life. Don't just stay away, actively avoid Magmar.
It is.
Coming in at number 4
sucks.
on the good side, though, is bound to make a lot of people upset given the fact that he's technically already been on the list.
Magikarp?
Now, Gyarados has already appeared in this list. In fact, these two nearly bookend the list. But Magikarp getting his own spot is down to how the Pokemon games go out of their way to show off Magikarp as a pet. It's a super boring pet, sure, but that doesn't mean it's not rock solid. Magikarp is beautiful in its simplicity. It swims back, and it swims forth. It can splash, but not to much avail. After wave upon wave of Pokemon threatening to dice you into cubes, burn you to cinders, and give you a
having
body
a
slam,
nice little
that
fish
just swims is practically perfect. And
you know, I do hope in Winds and Waves, maybe they'll have like this right here in this mobile game. Maybe they'll introduce like different patterned Magikarps. That'd be really interesting. I mean, sure, sure that undermines the whole point of the shiny Pokemon, but I mean, the butterfly Pokemon from Kalos. Its whole thing is different patterns, so introducing different patterns for Magikarp would be very interesting.
What it lacks in excitement when it comes to moveset, it makes up for in palette. There's a veritable smorgasbord of varieties they come in. Heck, it's one of the few Pokemon on the list that has a theme song. The other, Slowpoke. I really hope the last 3 have theme songs, or this is going to be a dangerously moot point. At number 3 for the worst Pokepet is...
Pavilion, that's it.
Yeah, you knew Muck was coming. He was gonna be here sooner
the big
or
old
later, and now
sludge
it's time
pile.
to face facts. Of all of Kanto's poison-type Pokemon, which I think is like...
30?
all of them, Muck is hands down the worst. Arbok will strangle
The
you,
worst.
Vileplume will
The
infect
absolute
you,
worst.
But Muck is just walking, talking, hazardous waste. Walking is a bit of an exaggeration.
Oh, yeah,
though,
it
as he just
sludges.
slinks around like a slug, which is, no doubt, gonna leave a trail of sludge wherever he goes.
Oh, yeah, it just
You
leaves
thought Magmar was
muck
bad for
and
being
grossness
unpettable? You didn't
everywhere.
pet a Muck, you're just gonna look like the goon from RoboCop afterwards.
Oh,
Muck's
no.
entire body is made
Oh,
of
no.
poisonous waste, and even being near it for too long will require you to take the week off to recover. And you wanna know what the worst part is? You have to feel bad for it. Since the Pokemon world is a work of fiction, pollution is on a downturn, and as a result, Muck's population is dropping fast. They've started building new ponds filled with just slime to try and keep them alive. So, bottom line,
poor
don't get a
babies.
Muck. Just sponsor the conservation effort. As for number 3 best, I'm sure just about everyone was waiting for this one.
Yep. It's just a dog.
Duh, right? It's Eevee. I've called almost every Pokemon up until this point a dog because I think calling Onix a dog is funny, but Eevee is just a dog.
It's
a dog
just
with an
a
unstable
dog.
genetic structure, but in the real world, we just call that a pug. Eevee
Oh,
is friendly, can sit comfortably on your head without hurting. Imagine doing this with a Mastiff. But most of all, harbors a genuine love and affection for anybody who gives it in kind. Maybe even a little too much love. No prizes for guessing Alola has a way to ruin this thing. In Ultra Moon, it says that Eevee's DNA is influenced by its surroundings.
Oh.
And that its face will slowly change to look like its trainers.
Oh.
What? I don't want to wake up one
I hate that. I hate that. I hate that so much. I hate that so much.
day and see my bouncy boy sleeping in my lap, only for him to turn around and face me, and I'm looking back. That's
Oh, no.
terrific, but I can't hold that against Eevee too much. That's kind of just how his body works.
Oh,
you
no.
can't hold everything against the number 2 worst Pokepet, however.
Oh, boy. Yep, there he is. There's the boy.
Of course it's Gengar. Who else would
Safety,
be so
negative
except
10.
Kanto's sole ghost type? Gengar may also be poison, but trust me, most of his crimes are on the ghost half of the equation.
Yeah.
Gengar straight up kills people.
Oh.
And Magmar and Venomoth at least could say they didn't mean to hurt anybody. Not Gengar.
Yeah, Gengar
is
did
actively
that
hunting
shit.
people to kill. It hangs out around street lamps, dark alleys, even your own home just to get a chance to kill you.
Jesus.
That's actually the only thing saving it from an even worse score. It's extremely easy to house because it's already in your house. You're only gonna find out when it's too late. It will curse you, hunt you, haunt you. And
I don't
even the
like
deck
that.
says that if a Gengar picks you to kill, it's too late and you should make its job easier.
Oh.
Gengar is one of the few Pokemon smart enough to know
Oh.
it's being evil, and it just doesn't care. Don't just avoid Gengar, get a Pokemon that can defend you against it. Hopefully the number 2
Get yourself like a Sableye or something. It'll run up your bill, but at least you'll be alive.
best Pokepet can do the job.
Fancy!
Good luck ever finding this thing since it's locked in the depths of the Safari Zone. Chansey
Yeah.
is as loving and caring a Pokemon as it comes.
You better
There's
get a
reason
medical
they're
medical
predisposed to
degree.
Becoming healthcare professionals. Chanseys are by their nature caring Pokemon that give out eggs to those they see as friends or who are injured. These eggs are produced several times a day and are considered highly nutritious.
Oh.
So it's fine when it comes out of a chicken, but when a giant pink blob does it, you have an issue? Chansey is all but the perfect pet in every category. The only thing keeping it from number 1 is the fact that number 1 just has slightly more pet-like qualities. Chansey has more companion qualities.
Yeah.
Wait,
True.
Chansey has more companion qualities.
Generational quote.
And finally,
A depraved
you've probably
pervert.
sussed out who it is. The worst
yeah.
Pokepet is...
Yeah.
What else really needs to be said?
Yeah.
It's Hypno. It carries a pendulum-like device. There was once an incident in which it took away a child it hypnotized. As a matter of course, it makes anybody who meets it fall asleep and has a taste of its dreams.
Oh,
Anybody
God.
having a good dream,
Fucking
it carries
Hypno.
off. Avoid eye contact if you come across one. It will try to
Hypno,
put you
I'm
to sleep
sorry.
using its pendulum. Hypno is not only the worst Poképet in Kanto, it's got a really good case for the creepiest Pokemon ever made. It's not cool looking like Spiritomb or cute like Mimikyu, it's just some yellow diddler with a long nose.
Oh,
not
no.
to mention because nobody gives a
Oh, God. Like, I think we could all agree, there was definitely a Hypno in those files, dude. There was definitely a Hypno in the files, I gotta tell you.
about Hypno. Most people who don't know any better put his negative traits on Mr. Mime, who is just a fun-loving clown.
Yeah.
Critter. Meanwhile, Hypno is on a government watch list. I wouldn't blame
Oh, he is on
for
A
reporting
list.
their neighbor to
He was
animal
on B
control if
list.
They had a Hypno. It is, by its very nature, up to no good.
Very
But
true.
Pokemon is the other side of the coin. What Pokemon takes the top spot?
Okay,
with such
what
authority?
is the
One
best
that's easy
Pokemon?
to house, has a great typing, is well behaved, is no danger to you, and is easy to feed. Well,
Okay.
it can only ever be one, and if you've been keeping track up until this point, you already know who it is.
I
The
have an
best
idea.
Poképet
Yeah,
in all
I
of
had an
Kanto
idea,
is-
but
That's right, the best Poképet is the one we made ourselves.
Yep.
Porygon is the perfect pet
Porygon.
in every regard. Housing it, it lives in the computer. Not just that, but it's from the 90s. This thing is 100 megabytes tops.
Oh,
Typing,
yeah.
Pure normal. It can use conversion, sure, but not unless you give it the firmware update. Behavior? Porygon has only ever been helpful, eating corrupted files and acting as a living firewall. Safety?
I
It's
could
a
really
tiny
use one.
save file. What's he gonna do? The worst thing you could ever get from Porygon is accidentally getting poked by one of its sharp edges, but even then I hear they're working on an update to address that. And ease of care? Just download some JPEGs and MIDI files to feed it. This thing is as easy to care for as it is to surf the web. It's perfect
I
in
could use a
every
Porygon.
way. So, what are we taking away from all this? Is it that beauty is in the eye of the beholder and my system for determining a Pokemon's worth is different
What
than
are we
yours?
taking away from
That
this?
any Pokemon with enough love and attention can be sculpted into the perfect partner and friend for life? No. It's the Digimon wins, baby! Pop the champagne! It's Agumon o'clock, motherfucker!
it's Agumon o'clock, baby. Oh,
It's gonna be the death of my career, let's do this.
uh-oh.
Retro, Diglett, Nidoran, Mankey, Venusaur, Tacta, Fioro, Pidgey, Sea King, Jolteon,
Oh.
Dragonite, Ghastly, Ponyta, Porygon,
He's
Poliwrath,
doing
Butterfree!
the Poke
I'm
Rap.
doing the Pokemon, you can't make me do anymore.
Oh.
I'll search across the land, look far and wide, release
Oh,
from my
God, the
hand
Poke Rap.
power that's inside. Venomoth, Poliwag, Nidorina, Golduck, Ivysaur, Grimer, Victreebel, Moltres, Nidoking, Farfetch, Abra,
Oh,
Jigglypuff,
God, real
Kingler,
ones.
Rhyhorn, Clefable, Wigglytuff.
Real ones know the Poke
This
Rap.
is so much harder than I thought it would be.
Oh, it is.
Zubat, Primate, Meowth, Onix, Geodude, Rapidash, Magneton, Snorlax,
He hitting it.
Tangela, Goldeen, Spearow, Weezing, Seal, Gyarados, Slowbro! Oh,
Oh, the editing.
so bad. Kabuto, Persian, Paris, Horsey, Raticate, Magnemite,
It's hitting them
Kadabra,
all.
Weepinbell, Ditto, Cloyster, Caterpie, Sandshrew, Bulbasaur, Charmander, Golem, Pikachu!
There's the
At least
mascot.
150 or more to see the Pokemon Master of my
Oh.
destiny.
Oh, he is losing the energy.
Alakazam, Doduo, Venonat,
Oh.
Macho, Kangaskhan, Hypno,
It's still going.
Flareon, Blastoise, Poliwhirl, Oddish, Drowsy, Raichu, Nidoking, Bellsprout, Starmie! We're only halfway through? Jesus, no!
Halfway there, baby.
Break time's over.
Halfway
Here we go.
there.
Metapod, Marowak, Kakuna, Clefairy, Dodrio, Seadra, Vileplume, Krabby,
He's still
Lickitung,
going.
Tauros, Weedle, Nidoran,
Oh, he's still
Machop,
going.
Shellder,
He's got another
Porygon,
minute.
Hitmonchan.
Arakechama.
Articuno, Jinx, Nidorina, Beedrill, Haunter, Squirtle, Chansey, Pokemon, Parasect, Execute, Muck, Dugong, Pidgeotto, Lapras, Vulpix, Rhydon!
Oh, you're almost
At least
there.
150 or more to see to be a Pokemon Master is my destiny. Okay, let's get this over with. Oh, God.
Oh, you're almost there, Bumble. You're almost there, brother.
Charizard, Machamp, Pinsir, Coughing, Dugtrio, Golbat, Staryu, Magikarp, Ninetales, Ekans,
Almost
Bulbasaur,
there.
Scyther,
Almost
Tentacle,
there.
Dragonair, Magmar! Oh, this is the worst thing I've ever done for a video. I regret this so much. 24 more to go. It gets tricky here.
Really?
Sandslash, Hitmonlee, Psyduck, Arcanine, Eevee, Execute, Kabutops, Zapdos, Dratini,
Almost there.
Growlithe, Mr. Mime, Cubone, Graveler,
Almost.
Voltorb, Gloom. We're almost home!
We're so close, buddy.
Can't mess up now. It'd be so awful if I messed up now.
It would be awful, huh?
Charmeleon! Wartortle! Mewtwo, Tentacruel, Aerodactyl,
Almost there.
Slowpoke, Pidgeot, Arbok. That's all, folks!
Ah.
I'm done. Oh, God, this was a bad idea.
Oh. Oh, boy. Oh. Well, now we know what would make for the best and the worst Poke Pet, but that was just the Kanto region. And so far, he has done videos on Johto and Hoenn as well. Hopefully Sinnoh is in the pipeline as well, because I'd love to see where Sinnoh Pokemon line up, but that's Kanto for now. So let's keep a tally here on what currently is the best and worst. The best being Porygon, and the worst being Hypno at -7 points. I'll be sure to come back to that when we jump into Johto at some point in the future. Let me know what your Poke Pet is, as far as Kanto goes. What kind of Kanto Pokemon would you keep as a pet? For me, it either have to be a Pikachu, or maybe, I don't know, maybe an Eevee, because Eevees are just ease of care, plus they can evolve into whatever you want. So, you know, nice, very ease of care. Let me know down in the comments below, of course. And don't forget to hit like on the video and subscribe to the channel and ding that bell so you know when I upload, and it helps me out in the algorithm. And as always, I will see you next time at the HQ. Bye-bye.